Hey everyone, so I'm going to take a look today at this Headrush FRFR-108 cab that I got a few weeks ago and I've been kind of trying out and getting used to. So this is a 1 8-inch speaker cabinet that you can use with, ideally I think with a guitar processor is kind of the idea with it, because it's what's called a flat response amp. Now, using the simplifier, whenever I talk about that, I'm usually on like the Marshall settings, but it also has Fender and Vox. So this is not like a flat response thing. It's trying to color your sound to sound like an amplifier. This is doing the opposite thing, where it wants to take a processor like, say, the simplifier or Helix, or I guess in their case, the Headrush, and let you use the amp and cab simulations that they have on board, and then this just makes it bigger. And I've been really having a good time with this thing. It's a very simple concept, but it seems like they just did it well. So obviously the front of this, you can see it's not like one speaker, one speaker. It's just a single 8-inch speaker in here. So it is mono, not stereo. However, you do have two channels in on it. They're just both going to be mono. So you see I've got like little feet down here on the bottom where you can kind of rock it back. And that's how they would intend it to be if you were using it for like a stage monitor for yourself. So cable goes right here, on off switch, fuse, but right here is what we have that's important. So the volume 1 and 2, the dial goes from 0 up to 11. Not sure if that's a Spinal Tap joke or what, but it's definitely capable of it. Then this mix out is going to be like both signals combined coming out, so you could run that to a second Headrush monitor if you wanted to, or to a PA from that point. The two inputs, this little weird plug right here can take regular instrument cables, TS or TRS, or it could take XLR cables, which is really cool. And I like the ability to do that. And it just really adds to the flexibility of this. I haven't really decided how I'm going to be using it. Last night I was playing around with it in mono. Well, obviously they're both in mono, but just plugged in to input 1 on half of my HX Stomp, and then I was plugged this one in from the right output there, and it did make a difference. It's not stereo. It's not gonna have like ping pong sound back and forth just off of one cab, but it definitely felt like it gave it an extra layer of flexibility and being able to blend the sound together there with it. So really cool on that part. Then you've got the ground knob or switch right here that would help you to kill signal like noise that you might be getting. I haven't had to use it just yet, but it's nice that it's there. Then let's see, the Bluetooth. This has been super cool, because really, like, the whole reason I finally buckled down and got one of these, even though I've been looking at it for a while, is that the guitar amp that I use for in-person lessons finally is just beyond the point of being reasonable to work with. It's a Champ 30, so it's a Fender Champ 30. So I've had it for a long, long time, and 30 watts, 112-inch speaker. But the coolest thing about it was the two inputs. So I was able to do my lessons off of just one amp. And when it started just getting worse and worse, and then just stopped working through a lesson, it's like, you know what, I'm taking away from students' time trying to get this thing, to cooperate. And this thing has been great so far. Now, the difference being, though, that since my Fender amp is a true amp and not flat response, you had a decent amp sound. You can plug directly into this, but it's going to be a very just dry signal. So the idea with it is that you can use your HX Stomp, your Headrush, your Axe Effects, your Kemper if it's unpowered, and be able to use that with this. You could even, if you're a singer-songwriter type thing, playing with an acoustic guitar and singing, you could use one of the channels for an input on your instrument, and then the second channel for like your vocals to come through. So that's a really cool feature with it too. And yeah, so right now I'm kind of trying to figure out the best way to use this. I've been bringing the simplifier to lessons for myself, and then have also kind of messed around with using an old Digitech RP200, which works, but hopefully will be the push that my students need to either look into something like maybe not an HX Stomp, but something like the it's not the HX1. That one looks cool too, but the Pod Express, because that one is a great price point for a lot of my students there. I know that Boss has their IR single pedal that is right around there too, and then what is it? The media thing that put out the Tone X1, which that one seems really cool too, but maybe a little bit advanced. But any of those, I think, would be good to work with this. I should point out, too, just on the back panel here as well, we have this HPF high-pass filter that's going to help cut out noise like in a big boomy room or something, and basically simulates like it's being put on like on a stand, where it's not going to be using the floor in the room to kind of respond to those vibrations. So you have, let's see, the blue light would flash whenever you're syncing up the Bluetooth or connected, HPF right there, that'll light up if it's on. And this signal limit button, right, or it's not a button, it's just a little light right there, is actually super important. And I tested this out. I didn't want to do it in a video in case, to not damage anyone's ears or speakers or anything like that. But the idea of it's basically like a clipping indicator there. So if the volume is all the way down like this, and then you say have your volume cranked on whatever you're pushing into it, in my case it was the HX Stomp last night, it wasn't getting any light up on this. So even though it was being sent a signal at full blast, it was not showing any indicator right there. So it was more about what's being how it's responding rather than just reacting to what's being fed into it. Now, with the volume all the way up like that, I got the volume up to, I think, about 4, maybe right about 5, before that green light that's indicating that it's getting signal right there started to turn red and kind of flash back and forth between them. And it's just a little bit beyond that, it went to solid red when I was playing. So that's showing that it's clipping. It was also very loud, too. And this is a 2,000 watt speaker. And I know a lot of amps that we use would be, say 5 watts, 30 watts, 100 watts, 120 watts, something like that. 2,000 is obviously a lot more than that, but it's not like you have to use it, like that. It's going to be pulling more power the higher the volume knobs are on this thing right there. So don't be too worried about that. And even like this type of circuitry versus like a tube amp, tube amps tend to, I think, be louder than the same equivalent wattage of like a solid state. So like a 100 watt tube amp to me feels louder than a 100 watt solid state amp would feel. So yeah, that was, I guess, the test that I did with it with the HX Stomp at full blast, and it was like right about here that it was starting to clip. And then I also did a test where I turned the volume all the way up on both channels, and then just started to like peak up a little bit on the volume with the HX Stomp. And I think I got it around, 9 o'clock, maybe up to 10 or 11 o'clock on the dial before it started to clip out there. So the reason I would probably want to go with a higher volume going into it and lower volume on this is, let's say that you accidentally changed a setting with the volume so high up on this thing right there and the ability to push 2,000 watts. I would rather have the master volumes, we'll just call them that for now, set a little bit lower so that if there was an extreme difference in signal going into it, that it's not going to be a major drop or a major blow everyone's ears out type of event there. Let's take a look at the specs a little bit on this real quick. I have it pulled up online. Oh, I should point out too, so you can absolutely lean this thing back like this, facing up towards you. The cables come very close to the ground, but not quite contact anyway, but I still wouldn't want to like accidentally like put my foot on it and roll it back onto it or anything. Let's see, you do have this little speaker port right there, or like a pole where you can feed like a speaker stand into there and then tighten it down with this little buckle. When it's facing towards you, it looks like this. It can also stand up, as well. It's got feet on this side of it. Ooh, excuse me. Yeah, like little feet down there. All right, so let's see. As far as the specs on it go, 8-inch speaker. It's powered, obviously. Let's see. Okay, it says 8-inch LF driver and a 1-inch HF driver. So low frequency, high frequency. Mono, it's a floor wedge type, it says. Closed back. 2 1/4-inch XLR inputs, 1 XLR output. Bluetooth. Maximum peak SPL is reading about 130 decibels. That's higher than you need, especially if it's pointed just directly at your face. Frequency range of 52 hertz up to 20,000 hertz, which is pretty nice there. Full range, flat response, yes. Features, standard speaker mount. It says height is going to be 10.1 inches. So clearly that's going to be, like in this position where it's a floor wedge, from here to here. I guess that being the 10.1. It says width 17.2. That's got to be this, from here to here. And then the depth 9.6. So that would be, I guess, here to here as well. And the 8-inch speaker clocks in about 21.8 pounds. So I don't know that I have the other one where I could pull it up real quick, the 112 version, but I know that it is at least a few pounds heavier than this. I don't know that it has any other features other than the fact that it's a 12-inch speaker and is pushing instead of 2,000 watts, it's 2,500 watts, which I thought was really unnecessary for my specific needs for it. It might be able to handle bass response a little bit better, and this can be used for guitar, bass, I assume vocals, even though I haven't used it for that yet. The Bluetooth is great in the lessons too, like just being able to pull up a song with the students and have it come through the same speaker source instead of like having an amp and then in one corner and then the phone or an iPad up on a stand or something like that. It's so much nicer to be using it with this. So I'm getting great use out of it, out of my needs as a teacher. I'm yet to be able to take this to the practice space and try it with a full band or play a show with it or anything. But it's the type of piece of equipment that I love because it's not like very specific to just one type of thing. This could really be used in just about any application that you could think of. So I plan on using it a lot more. And I'll actually do like some audio examples with it here soon. I just kind of wanted to talk about some of the features of it first. One thing that I definitely am gonna do, and kind of was like a aha moment, is one of my most popular videos has been covering the AC Acoustic Simulator 2, and I really think that this has a great potential to be a great option for this, because if you've seen that video, that the output and the electric guitar out, if they're both plugged in, it switches the output between those. And this having the two outputs right there, you could get the full potential of this pedal just off of one speaker like this. So I'm definitely gonna do a video about that, and then probably also maybe in that one or some other ones feature what it would sound like using the I guess the two inputs and then the XLR out, and I'll just run that to my audio interface. Right now I'm just using my phone for this video. So I've already gone over the time that I was kind of thinking that I'd use to cover this, but thank you guys very much. I hope that this has been helpful or informative for you. I know I'm just covering the Headrush one. I know there's other brands that do a very similar type of flat response cab, but I've really been seeing a lot of good things about this one, and the features and size and weight really just seemed like it was the best thing for my needs. But tell me what flat response cabs you were using. I'm curious about that as well, to get that discussion going. And then also, yeah, just if you have any other questions or would like to see anything or hear anything using this, just let me know as well. And thank you again, and I will see you soon.